Hey guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Now, my goal is at today's video is to show you guys another way that you can start earning online. And today's interviewee is someone who is a financial educator. Now, if this is your guys' first time on my channel, my name is Lacaba. I am the virtual ate. I've been working from home since I was 15 years old and now run my own agency in Cebu, Philippines. And I post videos every Sunday and Thursday on how to work from home, so make sure to hit the subscribe button right there so you don't miss any of my videos. Now, my guest for today has a very short bio but has a really good story. He teaches families proven savings and investment strategies through continuous financial education. So, if you're someone who has never heard about financial education before, definitely tune in for our guest for today. Okay, guys, so without further ado, please help me welcome our guest for today, a financial educator, Mr. Jeremy Tan. Hi, Jeremy.
Hey, Leanne. Hey, everyone. Thanks for having me, Leanne, today.
Yeah, excited to finally have you. Excited to have a lot of the teens actually who also watch my videos to be able to learn more about what financial IQ is a little bit and a lot of what you do. So tell me, how did you get started with this, with becoming a financial educator or just being online in general?
I'd like to focus on the financial education side. So my journey started 2015. The funny thing is I got invited through Facebook by somebody that I don't personally know. And Leanne, during that time, I think the best term for it is desperate because I didn't finish college. Yes, I was a scholar in Eastern Visayas State for my civil engineering, but when my father died, 2006, I had to stop going to school and help my mom, make money and all. So I was thinking one Sunday night, I'm like, what if I die very young? My father was only 50, right?
Wow.
So that's still young. It didn't last long. So I thought, what if I only last that long? What will my wife and kids do? So that's how I kind of got started, and then, just did the business, just went on in helping people. And for now, just last September, I went full time. So I could say I fired my boss. I think that's the best way to say it.
So, what does a financial educator do? I know a lot of people have some confusion what it does. I didn't know anything about it until like 4 or 3 years ago myself. So, for those who are just kind of coming along this term, what does a financial educator do?
So, I think we're all familiar with insurance agents, right? As an insurance agent, you're practically limited in your offerings. So whatever the company tells you to sell, that's what you sell. While as a financial educator, we approach it in a holistic manner. So we actually even have an illustration of how a solid financial foundation should look like. Because as a Pinoy, as a Filipino, I don't know if it's poor or middle class family. Back in the 90s, because my parents don't earn very big. Combined, they're barely even 15,000 when my father was still alive. So yeah, that's not a lot, I kind of thought to myself, what is it that the wealthy know that we civilians, we who are not wealthy, don't know? So when I stumbled upon my company, International Marketing Group, IMG, there I started to realize that, the poor and the wealthy both have the same 24 hours. But what is it that the wealthy does with their 24 hours that the poor are missing? So that gave me an idea that, okay, so there's not much difference. Yeah, the bank account, the millions and all may be much, but if you really look at the grassroots of everything, it's practically the same. So there we conduct regular financial education seminars. When I was still in Cebu, we had the financial center because it always gets jam-packed, especially on a weekend. And people would listen to classes. Our president, who happens to be one of the children of the owners of De Los Reyes Optical, he always says, financial education is free. You don't have to pay for financial education, but why is it that it's not even being taught in school? Even if you go to the top universities, you don't talk about financial education. You talk about the money of other people. We make it understandable that children who are in grade school can understand that saving is not enough. You should be investing. You should be covered with some form of insurance just in case you die early, or that you should manage your debt properly. So my idea of debt before is that, let's say, Leanne, I owed you, let's say, 10 grand, 10,000, right? And then I earn 15. So I'll pay you the 10 and then I keep the 5. But obviously my lifestyle is not 5,000. So
True.
of course I had an excuse to say na I can't save. So there I realized having debts is not an excuse. Being comfortable, being lazy, being complacent, those are excuses that we should get rid of. So I think that's the gist of what I do.
So, what was one of the first skills that you had to learn? Like, I know communication skills is definitely one of the biggest ones, but what was something that you really had to dive into to be able to become a financial educator? With this, especially now that I know you're doing your classes online, even, what was kind of a skill that you got started with to be able to be more just confident in being able to do this part of your job?
I'm a salesman by trade, even before I joined IMG. So that's already one thing, right? I think the hardest thing that I needed to overcome was my lack of self confidence. Because, Leanne, look at it this way, I'll talk about financial education with you, but I knew deep inside me that I had debts. So you're teaching someone who probably doesn't have debts about saving and investing, and then you're buried in a pile of debt. So I had to kind of train my mind, discipline myself that, Jeremy, it's okay. You have debts, that's fine. You'll be able to pay it as long as you do what you're teaching other people. So you're doing what you're preaching, right? So there, I think that's the biggest hurdle for me for the earlier part of my career. But then eventually I get to meet people that say, hey, I was buried in these kind of debts. It's even 6, 7 figures. It's up to millions because of this. You know, like a Dave Ramsey, if you're familiar with the guy, teaches people that, hey, if you have debts, that's fine, but just follow these steps. You'll eventually be able to pay them all. And then while you're paying your debts, you're helping people become financially educated. I think that's number one, self-confidence. And number two is to accept the fact that what I do, yes, I get compensated. Compensation can be handsome depending on my effort because it's commission based. But you know how commission based works, right? If you don't have a sale, you don't get anything. But then I realized that the best leaders are those who know how to volunteer without expecting anything. So I think those are the main two things that I needed to train myself with.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool. It makes a lot of sense that those would be kind of the top two things is just confidence and embodying being a leader. If you're someone who is going to take people by the hand and teach them like, oh, you know, this information is out there and this is how you can get out of debt. This is how you can grow your money. This is how you can actually save up for the future and not just living for the now. So that makes sense. So far, and like I said, I've seen your guys' offices. I know you used to do teachings in person. How has that affected with working online? You said you just went full time. I guess what has been the most surprising thing about having it all digitally, having it all online so far?
Since I already have the skill of online presentation, Zoom was already a thing for me back in 2017. So I already know how to use the technology, at least the basics of it. I think the most interesting thing, Leanne, is that I can sign up people even if they are abroad, even if they are living in another province or city that's far away from my place here in Palo. I think that's the biggest adjustment, I would say. Although back in 2019, 2018, I've already been saying that, hey, I think we should be doing these online classes.
Pioneer.
But but people were saying no, not yet. So okay, I said okay, fine. And then 2019 came, and now full time online.
It's just being able to just have a bigger reach, which is it's awesome that even like 2 years ago you were already thinking like, yeah, I think we should just do this online, and you've been able to close clients that way, you've been able to get people in that way too. So that's awesome. So far, what has been your favorite part about being a financial educator? What has been kind of the thing that you like the most about just basically about your job, about what you do?
I think, Leanne, the money side is fulfilling. Let's not be hypocrites here, right?
Yeah.
Let's be honest with ourselves. But one thing that always gets ingrained with us, that we are constantly being reminded by our leaders, is that, guys, the money, the compensation is just the result of you doing the business.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
already a salesman, right? I think you have some sales yourself. So you know that you don't expect people to pay for something that has low value. So my business here in IMG, I'd say zero income, right? It's almost 110% effort. But
Yeah.
then when people start seeing, okay, wow, there's this value, I'm able to save up for my future, for my retirement, for my kids. I'm able to pay off my debts. I'm able to ensure that at least if I die early, if I die too soon, happens.
True. True. Yep.
My
Yep.
kids, my family will not be broke, right? Or if I have debts now, I have a way, a proven system, a proven way of getting out of debt the right way. So I
Yeah.
think that's the most fulfilling thing for me.
Very cool. And again, that makes sense. That makes sense that that would be something that would be fulfilling. I said right before our talk is this is not usually taught in schools, being more just having a higher financial IQ, basically. And it's so essential if you do want to succeed, if you want to have something that outlives you. So that's very awesome. So, so far, what has been a shortcut or a common piece of advice that you give to someone who does want to get started, either becoming just a financial educator or just getting started with their financial education? What has been, again, a shortcut or piece of advice that you've given a lot?
We had a class last Saturday,
Mm-hmm.
and our coach, he's based in Cebu. One of the things that he shared on that class is just do it. If I reflect on my journey, many people are skeptical, right? Because it's money. We
Yeah.
had a lot of scams in the past 2 or 3 years. People lost millions
Yeah.
in money, right? Because they invested in illegitimate legal scams. So people are kind of afraid. Number one, I say, hey, look at my profile. My profile talks about IMG. If it's not legal, what do people do? They hide it,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't for the past
True.
five
True.
years. Number
Yeah.
two, I bet you're also a 90s kid. So we didn't
Mm-hmm.
have the internet when we were in grade school, right?
Mm-hmm.
Especially here in our place in late and in Paluan Tacloban. So internet
Mm-hmm.
then was a mystery. I say, use the internet. If you have time to rant on Facebook, look
Mm-hmm.
at the internet and research the info yourself.
Yep.
And then number
Yep.
three is this. People want guarantees,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's why a lot of people unfortunately stay employed because they love the guarantee of a 15-30 paycheck. Nothing against employment because I've been employed for 11 years. But for me,
Mm-hmm.
if I'm talking to you, Leanne, I'll probably say, who's the best person that you should ask a guarantee from? Is it your boss or should it be yourself? So
Mm-hmm.
for me, every time I encounter people that say, hey, I'm not ready, I want to research, I want to ask more questions, I'm like, you know what? If I'm like you 5 years ago, probably I wouldn't be here. Leanne, we will not have this conversation between Leanne Lacaba and Jeremy Tan talking about
Mm-hmm.
financial education if I'm the same with others that, hey, I'll ask my partner because out of respect, I want him or her to know that I'm saving money. But you know what? I came from
Mm-hmm.
the BPO industry. I came from the call center world. Then in the call center industry, one thing is common, a lot of spending without having to tell your partner. So I always say, why do you ask permission if you're saving money? Because if you have a lot of savings, it's still your partner and your kids who will benefit from it. It's not your boss. It's your family. So
Mm-hmm.
for me, I challenge people, Lian, especially if they are close to me. I really say the harsh reality because we Pinoys don't want people to feel bad. If you really want to help people, don't sugarcoat. Tell them what's fact that if you don't save and you die soon, your family will go hungry.
Sure.
Guaranteed. I think that's the best way to answer that question.
Like you just said, a lot of people are wary, a lot of people are scared about it. But like for me, I remember a few years ago, I did make that decision for myself of like I need to upgrade my financial IQ. When I started my own business, I had to really learn how to be able to balance those books and be able to save up and be able to grow. So it definitely is something that you just kind of have to decide to do and decide to learn from yourself. So currently, right now, Jeremy, what is kind of your big, hairy, audacious goal? What is something that you are working towards, and you started with a story of, seeing how it affected your family so much, not having savings, not having anything after your dad passed away, until now you're someone who's debt free, who's teaching other people how to be debt free. What is the goal that you are currently working towards?
I'm looking at establishing a six-figure income this year.
Nice. Mm-hmm.
So of course, it comes with a lot of hard work. I'm not talking about six figures for the entire year, but six
Per month.
figures every 2 weeks, if possible.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Awesome.
So, I mean, it happens. I've seen that. I already see it.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what, Leanne? That's the monetary side. But the effort side, grow the team, grow the office here in Tacloban, teams abroad as well. I want to help them grow their respective businesses because as a member of IMG, you are an independent financial broker. You can represent a lot of financial companies ranging from non-life insurances to investments to healthcare to life insurances. So I will not be able to make that six-figure income every 2 weeks if I don't help a lot of people. So I guess the short answer to it is help personally. I know, Leanne, you will understand this in my terms. Imagine you're doing this interview, you're doing these content for free, but you don't have the money to support your advocacy. Your advocacy will die because you don't
Can't
have
sustain it.
income.
Yeah.
So you got to make sure that at least somehow we can sustain our income. And then, of course, we can only do that if we consistently help, for me, at least 10 people personally per month. So that's my goal for this 2021. See how it goes.
Yeah, it's definitely a reachable goal, especially if you're doing that a lot online. You get to reach a lot of more people. So right now, how can people reach you? How can people support you? Kind of plug yourself in whatever way that you would like.
This interview itself, Leanne, is already a big thing for me. Allowing me to go through this interview, you're already supporting me. Now, how can others support me in what I do? Number one is, of course, especially if it's my friend, if it's my relative, the initial process of everything that in what I do doesn't involve money, zero money. Just listen to the information. So I'd say if you want to support me, listen to the information first. If you like it, then we will both do it. If not, just tell me that it's not for you. No hard feelings. So probably if you're kind of curious yourself, listen to what we do, have a look at it, and then if you like it, refer them to our office in Tacloban. So I guess those are just the top three things for me in terms of asking for support.
Well, thank you so much, Jeremy, for sharing a lot of your knowledge, a lot of the things you've learned in the last couple of years. I know for a lot of people who are watching this, they would get some idea of what you do and how you do it, and also just starting to think about how they can handle their own financial IQ also. So thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you, Leanne. I appreciate you having me today.
If you guys want to reach out to Jeremy, make sure to check out the link in the description below so you can connect with him. And of course, if you guys like this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up button right there. Now, our featured comment for this video is from Rising to P on my productivity hacks video, which is basically these productivity hacks are just what I needed. Keep rising to be who you want to be. So if you guys want your comment featured in the next video, make sure to leave a comment right there. And if you guys still haven't subscribed yet, make sure to hit the subscribe button right there so you don't miss any of my videos every Sunday and Thursday on how to work from home. And you guys can check out my other two interviews right here so you guys can learn more about how to have a digital career. I hope you guys have an awesome day, and remember that small steps matters, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.